Oh boy. Okay, so you guys want to know about the time America decided it was going to nuke a small town, aka on the 3rd of February, so like 10 days ago. Okay? Now, I remember taking a look at this story at the time, and I was unsure about how to cover it or like what the ramifications would be. And now people much smarter than myself have weighed in, and it seems that, frankly, it's uh, bad. It turns out it is indeed bad. So, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, here's a video from February 3rd. That is that is a train full of toxic chemicals being exploded in Ohio. Specifically so that they could, you know, keep the trains working. Keep the trains running. We gotta look. The big railroad companies don't have time for petty little things like worker sick days or the health of entire communities. Okay, they gotta make their money. Wait, the explosion was deliberate? Yes. Yeah, no, the city put out a statement essentially saying that they deliberately ignited this explosion specifically to burn off the chemicals, which, in retrospect sounds stupid as fuck because the chemicals do not get burned off. Actually, that's not something that happens. Instead, what happens is, well, the chemicals get distributed over a much wider area. So, let's just take a look here. Uh, oh, look, it turned into a ominous toxic cloud hanging over the entire community. What could go wrong? I'm sure that, you know what? I'm sure that that is a health cloud. You know, it's a health cloud. You breathe it in, and you get anti-cancer that fights real cancer. Okay, it's a health cloud. They're gonna be all the rage, really. Yeah, this ominous toxic cloud hanging over this town. Uh, Probably a good sign. You know, you can see it from above here. Uh, Probably fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You can see it from like 40,000 feet up. It's fine. It's just a column of smoke bigger than like several city blocks. It's fine. It's fine, okay? Okay, guys? Look, ignore the ominous, deadly cloud of gas that is slowly moving to engulf all of your homes. It's fine. That cloud it's full of health fumes. Okay, it will expand your lung capacity with cancer. So, it's just real great. Just real good stuff happening in Ohio. So, basically, um yeah. Bad shit. Bad shit is happening. And frankly, it's going to get a lot worse. This occurred in, not, by the way, in case you've been seeing this trending on social media, Palestine in this case is referring to East Palestine, which is a town in Ohio. Now, this is, of course, not new. Similar accidents to this have happened, but I think it's worth noting that there is a shocking amount of deliberate misinfo being put out around this. The city keeps telling people, "Oh, it's safe to drink the water." Ignore all of the dead fish in the waters around your area. It's fine. You know, it's a-okay. Um, turns out this toxic cloud is killing all of the farm animals for miles upon miles around. You know, it's not great actually. Um, they didn't tell anyone, by the way, when they evacuated the town of East Palestine. They didn't tell anyone that it was supposed to be for 5 days minimum, meaning that a lot of people left their pets in their rush to, you know, escape the blast zone of this bomb that officials let off, and their pets have died. So the entire town, pets just dead all over the place, farm animals dead, livestock dead. Um, and well, here's what the train looks like now. Good job, everybody. We saved the town. It's fine. You know, look at all of these totally fine canisters that I'm sure are not leaking anything into the surrounding area. Whoa, 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 whoa! Cream bun mommy, who said anything about a lawsuit? Look, the railway company is offering the entire town a king's ransom of $25,000, about $5 per person that lives in the town. Sounds like a deal to me. Sure, their entire property has been rendered unlivable. Sure, their housing values have plummeted to non-existent because nobody wants to go and buy a house that's in Cancerville. But I'm sure it's fine. It's fine. It is fine, guys. Look, look. Look. Also, you know, just in case any of you are wondering, it's visible from space. Literally, this is visible from space, and also, they can tell the quality of the water supply by the color it is. So, you know, it's just their tap water is about on par with gutter water now. So that's probably fine. It's safe to drink, everybody. Go and drink your yummy gutter water from the tap. All of the modern conveniences. Here's a picture from the explosion here, and the raging fire afterwards. So, you know, that's cool. That's probably all fine. Residents have already filed a federal lawsuit as a note, so that's going to be a thing. Oh, it's going to be a thing. Yeah. No, 100%. It's like no, the railway company is going to be sued into oblivion, but rest assured, I'm sure they'll continue to try and do it some more. Now you might have seen some footage going around. Okay, you might have seen some footage going around of a reporter from News Nation being arrested live. So let's take a look at that, shall we? I'm sure he was really unruly and deserved it.
Reporter with News Nation, it's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is. This is horrible.
Because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
What's that?
This is horrible.
This is what it's like to be a black reporter in
Evan, I'm so
2023.
sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Roll over, sir.
Can you please loosen this because it hurts?
Yeah, that one's a little tight, so we
Oh my God.
Thank you very much.
This is horrible.
Can someone help me?
Yeah, we're helping.
Evan, I'm sorry. Oh
Are
my
you
God.
serious?
This is horrible.
Doing
So-
a live shot. Yes, you were.
So for the record, he was arrested from a press event for taking video in the press event. Okay? That is quite literally what he was arrested for. But we'll talk about we'll talk about the fact check after this, okay, chat?
I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report about what people need to
And
know.
he's been here all week.
I've been here all
You
week.
can't do this to him. This is wrong. Why are you arresting him?
Thank you, Sia. This is an
Also, damn, what a large lad. He's like head and shoulders taller than both of them.
You were on the national news just because I'm trying to do my job?
Holy shit.
This is his First
Why did you
Amendment
comply
right.
about doing the First Amendment?
You guys are distracting from what the governor needs to tell the
It is
people how
Yep,
literally
from
my
a press
job
event.
to be
Why
there.
are you arresting
Watch your
Evan?
wall, watch your wall.
Why are you arresting Evan? He's a national correspondent with News Nation. He's been here on the ground all week covering the story. What is the problem?
So, he was arrested, but you know what, chat? You know what? As always, we should take a look at the fact check, okay? We should take a look at the fact check. So, let's take a look at Newsweek. Newsweek has a fact check here. Okay? A tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene on February 12th, 2023 claimed that journalists covering the Ohio derailment disaster had been arrested for trying to tell the story. The tweet, which has been viewed more than 3.8 million times, stated East Palestine, Ohio, is undergoing an ecological disaster because authorities blew up the train derailment cars carrying hazardous chemicals, and press are being arrested for trying to tell the story. Oh, but UFOs, what is going on? A video underneath included a clip of a person being held down, then moved along the street with hands held behind their back. A title above the clip says, Ohio cops arrest a national news reporter for telling the truth. The video posted on Green's Twitter speaks to the claim that the Ohio train derailment story has received less attention than other news stories, in particular the recent interception of flying objects in Michigan and Alaska. However, the claim in the video that someone was being led away for reporting the truth does not include context about what happened. So, Newsweek, lay it on us. What exactly happened? Newsweek covered the initial reports about how News Nation reporter Evan Lambert was arrested at a press conference on Wednesday, February 8th, regarding the derailment in Ohio on Wednesday. Footage of Lambert's arrest went viral on social media, with one tweet by News Nation attracting more than 7.9 million views. Further video released by the Ohio State Highway Patrol showed Lambert involved in an argument before he was taken out of the East Palestine school gymnasium where the conference was being held. He was then taken to the ground and moved out of the building. The county municipal court records show Lambert was arrested on 2 counts, resisting arrest and criminal trespass. The claim that he was arrested for reporting the truth, viewed on its own, is misleading. While Lambert was removed from the venue and arrested, the clip shared by Green, viewed alone, does not provide all of the facts. Which, like, I'm sorry, your fact check lists it as adjacent to false, misleading material. I'm sorry, being kicked out of a live press conference for filming live, and then being charged with resisting arrest and criminal trespass when you're a reporter at a press event. I'm sorry, to me, that really does seem like you're trying to suppress the truth in that case. Yeah, rare instance of Marjorie Taylor Greene being correct about something. Yeah, guys, you don't have the context, and the context is the cops made it up. So anyway, that's cool, you know, super normal, super cool. We have a few other bits and pieces here.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds of acid in the air? Potentially. Now, ever since engineering school, I've studied a lot of industrial accidents. I just find it really fascinating, and organizations like the Chemical Safety Board, NTSB, and OSHA all have like really good reports available to the public. I think as a designer, it's really good to learn about mistakes. When looking at these kinds of industrial disasters across time, there are a couple things that are pretty universal across all of them. One, the responsible party, in this case, Norfolk Southern Railway, always plays down the reality of the situation. Politicians also just repeat the same lines, and then news outlets just repeat the same. So all we're hearing is the responsible party's word.
It's true. the politicians just repeat the corporate line. So what we're hearing is essentially a direct communication to the city. Oh, the drinking water's fine. None of it got in the drinking water, and that's coming from the railway company. You know, oh, the air is fine to breathe. That's coming from the railway company. You know, oh, all of the official communications from this seem to be just repeating and amplifying the corporate line, which has an obvious incentive to downplay pretty much every aspect of this massive ecological disaster. In fact, here's another piece right here, okay? This is vinyl chloride is one of the chemicals. There were, keep in mind, multiple chemicals in this train. Here are all of the effects at different concentrations, okay? And right now, we are at approximately 10 to 50 parts per million, which is in this range, okay? Which doesn't seem very high up the chart, I'll grant you, but here are some of the real effects, okay? Let's take a look at that together, okay? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Okay. KBS, thank you very much for subscribing and being subscribed for a whole ass year. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now, at 10 parts per million, intermediate animal. Histopathological changes in the liver, increased liver weight, increased spontaneous and mitogen-induced lymphocyte proliferation, which kind of indicates a heightened prevalence of the likelihood, an increased likelihood of cancer. Okay? So already pretty bad. But at 50 parts per million, okay, an intermediate exposure, okay, can lead to death, decreased body weight, increased liver weight, decreased testes weight, meaning smaller testicles, histopathological changes in the liver, and tumors on multiple organs affected or exposed to that concentration of chemical. So, you know, essentially, we have condoned the poisoning of an entire town in America, but of course, it gets worse. Of course, it gets worse. It all always gets worse, you know. So here's a video from on the ground in East Palestine.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit that they burn off, the fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine. This is not fucking storm clouds. Look at it. This is over Darlington.
Oh, sorry. Did I say it was over East Palestine? It's not. Because this ecological disaster is spreading. It is a massive, massive, toxic cloud that can and does and will kill a lot of the things that it starts to encompass. Hey, Naomi.
This is their fucking success.
Yep, and keep in mind, East Palestine officials deliberately burned this. This was their choice to do.
That ain't no fucking storm cloud. That's the fucking shit from East Palestine. They're fucking controlled burn.
Controlled burn. Hey, Ariana. How far can this spread? We'll find out in a bit.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's get out of here. I wish we could get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, because keep in mind, like, it's not like all of these people can just get up and move, chat. It costs money to move. They've built their entire lives in this town, and now it's encompassed by this toxic cloud that's going to kill them 20 years earlier than everyone else. You know? It is exactly like one of the toxic burn pits.
You fucking greedy motherfuckers. Impatient bitches. You could have fucking waited. You could have fucking cooled the tanks.
Yep.
You could have transferred the contents. You didn't have to do this. You did it because of time and money.
Yep. And that is a perfect point by the guy filming this video, because they could have not exploded them. The reason they exploded these tanks, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is because the railroad company wanted to get trains running through there faster. It was faster to explode these and poison the land and the air and the water for hundreds of miles around. And so they decided to do that instead of, you know, caring about any of the tens of thousands of lives.
That's exactly why you did it.
Jesus. You know, I genuinely have no idea what time of day that man was filming. It could have been noon, for all I know. Like, the smoke is that thick. This guy needs to get out of this shit. But that's the thing. How? Where? There's nowhere for them to go. If you don't have the money to move, you're fucked. Yeah. Also, just in case anyone's wondering, how did this even start? How did this train get derailed? Well, turns out footage showing a fiery axle 20 miles before East Palestine train derailment raises questions about alert timing. So, essentially, this train ran for over 20 minutes with an axle that was on fire. And I just need to point out that maybe, just maybe, shit like this wouldn't happen if the rail companies would actually invest in the infrastructure and give their employees fucking sick days. And also maybe hire a few more employees so you aren't running skeleton crews on every single goddamn train that's carrying deadly chemicals that could poison the land for hundreds of miles. You know, maybe the maintenance crews would have been able to catch an axle on fire for over, I'm assuming that the train is going around like 60, 80 miles an hour, over 20 minutes. Your rail is privately owned? Oh, you bet it is. We don't have nationalized rail in America. Are you kidding me? No, in America, the railroad companies run everything at a profit, so they are incentivized to cut every single service down to the bone, including then pressuring small local governments to maximize the speed at which trains can go, even if it means the trains are operating as a threat to the local communities. Do they not have hot box detectors? I don't know what that is. Maybe they do, but you know what they don't have? Enough personnel to adequately reckon with the malfunctioning of their trains. Which is why, by the way, instead of cleaning up this mess and transferring the dangerous chemicals to different secure containers on a future train and shutting down this rail line for a couple days, instead, they blew it up. Instead, they fucking blew it up and are killing American citizens, you know, just feeding them into the meat grinder of capitalism, really. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, you can have all the fire alarms you want, but if there's no one there to hear them or, you know, really take care of the fire, then they mean jack shit. Also, just like holy shit. Like, I cannot express to you how bad this is, okay? Here's Alyssa Raymond for a local news channel, Channel 11. Evacuation order has been lifted for residents near East Palestine train derailment. Our Channel 11 cameras captured video of dead fish in a local creek. See pictures below. A representative from the Ohio EPA said they are aware of the dead fish, but people shouldn't worry. All the information and data to date is that it is still been protective of the drinking water. Ohio EPA Representative Kurt Kohler said. Frankly, chat, if you are in Ohio and anywhere near this disaster, do not drink your water until you have your well or local water supply tested, okay? Goodness. Also, KF Logan, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. My name's Riverboat Jack. I'm a lefty socialist political commentator here on twitch.tv. I'm also a trans woman, so if you've got questions about trans people, feel free to ask. But we are currently covering the unfolding story of how U.S. railway barons are systematically murdering Americans for their own bottom line. Wait, Smite Knight, are you from East Palestine? Entropy! Oh, God, no. Okay, sorry. Welcome, folks. But, this is absolutely horrible, okay? Here's some more information about what happens when these gases are burned. Officials warned the controlled burn would send phosgene and hydrogen chloride into the air. Phosgene is a highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that can cause vomiting and breathing trouble, and was used as a weapon during World War I. Phosgene is considered safe at 0.1 parts per million during an 8-hour exposure, or 0.2 parts per million for a 15-minute exposure. The 8-hour exposure threshold would have to be even lower when measuring inside people's homes, where residents often spend more than 8 consecutive hours. So, again, when in the title of this stream I'm talking about how they nuked a town in Ohio, it's really not that far off. They essentially used World War I chemical weapons against this town. Okay? Like, it is essentially like the mustard gas that we had to invent, gas masks for. Okay? Oh, Jesus. And, of course, here's more information about vinyl chloride, which we've seen before, okay? Let's see. Basically, also this document talks about environmental fate, aquatic fate, and atmospheric fate, which, like, that's a really cool way of referring to the consequences of actions, but also this is a horrible situation. Oh, no. Sundry Clown Car. Au contraire. You see, they did use those weapons because they had the option of cooling the tanks down and moving those chemicals into other, more secure train tanks. Instead, the railway company wanted this to be expedient. They wanted it to be faster, and they didn't want the railway to be closed down for a significant length of time. So they put pressure on the local officials, and you know what happened? They decided to blow it up instead, because it was quite literally the faster option. They had the option to not poison the entire town. So to say this is like tripping and falling and going whoopsie-daisy, we mustard gassed an entire town, this is more like, well, we could have not poisoned the entire town, but that would have cost us some money. So instead we decided to poison the entire town, which isn't an accident. That's just them. They did it on purpose. It's just not an accident, by any definition of that. That's just business, baby. That's just capitalism. True. God. Here's a local news report.
At the area, well and groundwater are safe. However, after this couple saw dead fish in this creek that you're looking at, they're deciding to not take any chances.
There was hundreds.
Russell Murphy is referring to the fish now belly up in Leslie Run. He and his wife noticed them last night, barely 48 hours after the fiery derailment 5 miles away.
This is huge environmental effects.
That's now one of many concerns the EPA now faces.
The impact of the fish, yes, there was a impact of those. However, the levels as we have seen it are protective to groundwater. We are aware there are some wells along that for residential wells.
Environmental cleanup crews were at and actually in that water today. So are these booms, which are used to catch and stop anything that shouldn't be flowing here or into water wells, which Murphy uses.
Yeah, how are those going to stop the chemicals from flowing into those things? Because it might stop the dead fish. It's not going to stop the deadly chemicals.
For just about everything.
Now, Sleep Queen, I see you're asking what happened. Here is a video of what happened. Effectively, on February 3rd, a train derailed near a town called East Palestine in Ohio. And this train was carrying many tankers full of toxic chemicals that are highly protected to make sure that they don't get into the surrounding ecosystem. And the railway company essentially wanted the rails cleared as soon as possible so that they could send more trains through. So instead of safely moving these toxic chemicals, the town of East Palestine and its elected officials opted to do this. 150 cars, yeah. What the fuck? What the fuck indeed? This is an intentional burn of these canisters, frankly. Super cool. Yeah, imagine nuking your own town. Now, you might say, well, you know, that's a big fire, but how, you know, why would this, you know, it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. Why no state authority get a say? Because in America, railway companies matter more than whatever the state has to say, frankly. The profit of railway companies must be protected at all costs, you know? So you know, you had that, and we just watched. Here's a man. Now, here is the cloud cover in not East Jerusalem, or not East Palestine, This is several towns over at this point. That fire continued to burn for like over a day. Okay? Sending so much toxic gas into the atmosphere. So they can't fear any prosecution. Well, the towns have filed, the residents of the towns have filed lawsuits already, but if they were within like 10 miles of the initial blast, it's likely that they got an exposure of to chemicals that would shorten their lifespan by like 15 years. You know, like if they were still there, they're probably like going to die in the near future.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit that they burn off, the fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine. This is not fucking storm clouds. Look at it.
And these people don't have anywhere to go.
This is over Darlington.
These people don't have anywhere to go. They just have to sit there and breathe this chemical malaise that's going to give them cancer at like 35.
This is their fucking success. That ain't no fucking storm cloud. That's the fucking shit from East Palestine. They're fucking controlled burn. I'm ready. Let's get out of here. I wish we could get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers.
By the way, in case you're wondering, how far away is Darlington from East Palestine? It's 140 miles away. I have to get an alarm, but I'll be right back. Just sit with that for a moment, okay? Toby Silverstone. As you can see, on the middle of the screen, there's a little pointer over a town called East Palestine. East Palestine is in Ohio. A train derailed there, and the officials in the town decided that rather than moving the chemicals out of the train cars that had been derailed, 150 cars, mind you, they decided to burn them off, effectively exploding 150 cars filled with deadly chemicals that cause cancer and other horrible shit, like not being able to breathe. Chemicals that were commonly used in World War I chemical weapons. You know, just exploded them all into the atmosphere, and now there is a giant cloud of toxic gas spewing out over Ohio that can be seen completely obscuring the skies of Darlington, Ohio, which is 140 miles away.
You fucking greedy motherfuckers. Impatient bitches. You could have fucking waited. You could have fucking cooled the tanks. You could have transferred the contents. You didn't have to do this. You did it because of time and money. That's exactly why you did it.
You have to clarify what chemicals. Okay, phosgene, which is actually a World War I chemical weapon. Also vinyl chloride, which is a well-known carcinogenic substance. Again, let me ask you: do you want thick clouds of gas that are known to kill farm animals en masse? Because guess what? The farm animals are being killed en masse. Most of the pets in East Palestine died because they were gassed by the explosion. Oh, boy. And as you can see, the fish in the nearby water supplies died. I'm assuming people died too. Well, they evacuated the people, in a certain radius, so they didn't immediately die. But any animal smaller than a person definitely died extremely quickly. Yeah, here we go. Here's another story here. North Lima woman finds chickens dead on Tuesday, questions chemical release from train. Now, I wonder, where is North Lima? Let's find out. North Lima, Ohio. It's about 11 miles away. That would be a relatively reasonable distance to be like, hey, maybe this ominous black cloud, this ominous, horrific black miasma that is clearly not good. I wonder if this has something to do with the death of my animals. What if Pittsburgh area will suffer the same effects as well? Well, that's the thing. It probably is going to. At the bare minimum, the drinking water of Pittsburgh, I would assume, would be affected. But will they actually test it in a reasonable amount of time? Who can say, Here's another local news report.
As more effects from the East Palestine train derailment come to light, one of the concerns of local residents has been water contamination after dead fish were found in nearby streams.
So Leslie Run comes out of East Palestine, and that goes into Bull Creek, which then goes in the North Fork. And we know for sure that there has been some fish kill in Leslie Run and Bull Creek, and some portions in the North Fork.
We went out to these areas and were able to spot some dead fish in Leslie Run and Bull Creek. At a press conference, officials told us they are monitoring the situation.
We knew at the onset of this incident there was impact to Sulphur Creek and waters of the state of Ohio. Since that point in time, we have been able to successfully control that runoff and contain the water and either treat it in place along with a robust sampling program for the water quality.
Leslie Run, Bull Creek, and North Fork are all part of Little Beaver Creek. Smith says Little Beaver Creek was designated as a state wild and scenic river in 1974. The Division of Wildlife and its partners have worked for years on...
Yeah, well, all that work for absolutely nothing, because all those fish, dead as fuck. Oh, here's actually footage of those fish, dead as fuck.
I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine.
Nah, guys, that's the color water's supposed to be. It's supposed to be cloudy and kind of milky looking. That's just normal watercolor in Ohio.
I don't know when. I hear the
Yeah, they're monitoring the situation, guys. Again, if you live in Ohio, please do not drink your drinking water until you get it tested, okay? I love my milky Ohio water. Yeah, when they talk about oil being the milk of the earth, you know, that's what they're talking about. Here's another just kind of local video here. Video of the fire.
Was on the other side of town and he went north Pleasant and
yeah, just spewing toxic chemicals. Tens of thousands should not let their pets outside. Well, Hassan, new bookshelf, 100%. Like, pets in Ohio, I hope you're a safe distance from here, because, man, it's not great. Now, here's some... Again, take this with a grain of salt because I cannot source it properly, but here is here is a statement from people trying to cover the situation on the ground. My apologies, this is long. I had an unsettling experience today and wanted to get some takes from journalists. My family lives near East Palestine train derailment in Ohio. I used to work as an environmental scientist, and while I'm not a journalist, I'm very interested in documenting this event. I have a pretty nice mirrorless camera and wanted to photograph a large fish kill downstream from the derailment site, as well as get some water samples for VOC analysis. By complete coincidence, I happened to pull up to the site at the same time as a vehicle marked as an environmental consulting group that I quickly recognized. It's a pretty large firm, and I actually used to work on projects with them. I didn't really pay any mind to their vehicle. Since I recognized them as consultants, I assumed they'd get out and start sampling the stream. Again, full of dead fish. And since I was in a public space outside the evacuation zone, I assumed I had nothing to worry about. When I stepped out of my car with my camera, someone who I'm assuming was the manager of the group blocked my path and asked if I was media. I told them no, that I simply lived nearby and wanted to photograph the fish kill. They informed me that if I was media there to film them while they sampled, I would be arrested by the National Guard, who were posted up the road closer to town, and they'd already been put on standby once they saw the camera. They told me they were an independent third party hired by Norfolk Southern, which is the name of the rail company that, you know, is effectively responsible for this massive ecological disaster. The situation felt extremely uneasy, and it took some convincing to get them to believe I was not media. Eventually, I found common ground with them by explaining that I understood what they were doing, worked in a similar job before, and had no intent to film them. When they were convinced I was not a journalist, they eventually took a more friendly tone and asked me to wait until they left to photograph, which I did. Before they left, the same manager encouraged me to call Norfolk Southern's contracted toxicologist for information on water testing and gave me their number. They were pretty adamant on me having it and encouraged me not to get caught up in fear-mongering. They left and I got my shots. I was honestly so focused on diffusing the situation and saying what I needed to get them to quit alluding to arrest that I didn't really process the reality of what they told me until a bit after. So if you made it this far, isn't detaining media from filming something like this extremely illegal? If I was media, wouldn't I have had the right to be there? Are there special circumstances where this is permissible? Should I be reporting this somewhere? I want to believe they were there to independently and thoroughly analyze this obviously polluted water. They expressed empathy for the community and said they understood my concern. However, the whole thing really unsettled me. I had a relative with me during all of this. They mostly kept quiet and hung back, but no recordings of our exchange. Thanks in advance. Yep, no, this is hella illegal, by the way. Like, arresting people for being in a public space and filming, super duper illegal. You know, that's not a crime, you know? But it is a crime if you're in a company town. If you're in a town where everyone else is bought and paid for by a multi-billion-dollar railway company. You know? I'm okay. I'm not covering something from 2015 right now. Here is, by the way, earlier we talked about a journalist who was arrested at a press event. The full video has now come out from the body camera of the officers that were there. So let's take a look. It's a bit long, but we can see just how big of an argument, how law breaking and how resisting arrest-y this journalist was. Let's take a look. Keep in mind, this is a press event. There he is asking questions. Is this entire thing going to be silent? Sounds like he...
Yes, you want me to file charges on you right now? Go ahead. I am allowed to be here. Did you not see that man put his hands on me?
Oh, so the member of the National Guard put his hands on the journalist, and then they told the journalist to leave. Ah, yes.
Go. Now. Go. Now. Or you can go to jail. Sir. You want to go to jail for criminal trespassing? Do you want to go to jail for criminal trespassing? Do you understand? You know how quickly our lawyers will get me out? I don't care. Sir, can we I don't care. Let's talk outside. Go. Let's talk outside. Come on, outside. Come on. Out the doors. Out the doors. By other media right here. I'm going to listen. I don't care. You're going to walk out the door. I'm going to listen. You're going to walk out the door. Do not touch me. Come on out, sir. You're going to walk out the door, or you're going to jail. Do not touch me. Sir, can we talk outside, please? I am trying to listen, outside, please. And he escalated with me. I am doing my job. This is covered by the First Amendment. Excuse me, sir. I'm the building supervisor here. Please leave. There you have it. You're going to stand outside, or you're going to jail. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, out. Out. Out the door. Out the door. Yeah, you're under arrest. Under arrest. Excuse me, sir. Oh, sir.
Oh my God! You guys, this is bad. Stop.
I am on.
Wow, look at him resisting arrest. You know, when those two cops pushed him down on the ground. Wow. Yeah, no, he's resisting arrest, chat. He was being so unruly by asking questions and wanting to go to the press conference after a National Guardsman put his hands on him. The cops lied? Incredible. Who could have guessed?
Stop resisting! Stop this! Oh my God! Stop! You want to get this? I will. This is so bad.
Put your hands behind your back. Lay flat. Lay flat, please.
You guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
I'm a reporter with News Nation. It's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is.
Excessive force, because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
With it.
This is horrible.
This is what it's like to be a black reporter in 2023.
Evan, I'm so sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Pull over, sir.
Also, we saw all the rest of this where they just walk him out. And, like, at no point during any of this was he resisting arrest, something he later got charged for. You could maybe argue that he was trespassing after the building supervisor came and asked him to leave. But, like, it's a press event. He's a member of the press. He's not disrupting anything by being there. He asked them, the building supervisor asked him to leave, and they told him, he then asked, like, oh, does that mean I can just stand right outside that door and listen? And then they started arresting him. Like, this isn't a legal trespass. This is just arresting a journalist because fuck you. We perceive that you disrespected a man in uniform. I'm wondering, Twitter's being a little douche. Okay. All right. Oh, cool. Apparently, fun new little fact for you guys. The town officials reportedly also buried any of the unburned chemicals, meaning that not only did they pollute the air, they also polluted the land, and it's going to seep into the groundwater in this town, at the very least. So, that's cool.
Relate. So that's a lot to take in there, but we have to move on, because I think this is the most important thing you need to hear. Areas of containment soil and free liquids were observed and potentially covered and or filled during reconstruction of the rail line, including portions of the trench/burn pit that was used for the open burn of the vinyl chloride. I think you have to ask a few questions. Number one, why are you learning this from me? Why have they not released water tests since the 4th, but they've released several days of air tests? On the 5th, the EPA said that they were expecting water tests on the 7th or 8th. How much of these chemicals spilled? How much burned? Why was the track rebuilt over buried contaminants?
Yeah, just real quick, looking at this. Multiple rail cars and tankers were observed derailed, breached, and or on fire that included but not limited to the following materials. Vinyl chloride, ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethyl hexyl acrylate, isobutylene, and I can't say these. I'm sorry, folks. Butyl acrylate. There we go. 5 rail car tankers of vinyl chloride were intentionally breached. The vinyl chloride was diverted to an excavated trench and then burned off. Areas of contaminated soil and free liquids were observed and potentially covered and or filled during reconstruction of the rail line, including portions of the trench/burn pit that were used for the open burn-off of the vinyl chloride. So, they just burned it and then left the residue in the ground to seep into the groundwater. Cool. Cool stuff. Oh, boy. Continuing on. Now, apparently, a lot of the chemicals involved were also dioxins. Now, if you don't know what dioxins are, they are known as forever chemicals. Essentially, if animals ingest them, they last in that animal forever. And they are very, very, very much associated with a drop in life expectancy. Also animals in the environment ingest them, and then people ingest the animals, and, that's how it winds up in people. It's cool stuff, Real fine things. Oh, Jesus. It's real bad, folks. It's just getting worse, frankly. New toxins have been identified just today, actually. This is a direct quote here from a hazardous materials specialist named Sil Caggiano. And I'm going to direct quote here. "We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open." That's the direct quote from Sil Caggiano. Yeah, hurry, honey. Let's get out of Ohio and Pennsylvania. New air toxin just dropped. Here we go.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylexyl-acrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire. Caggiano says ethylexyl-acrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also
cause cancer. I feel like you really need to emphasize the fact that it causes cancer in all of the things that it's touching.
Known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until...
By the way, this is a classic move in like the aftermath of a giant disaster like this for which city officials could be held responsible. And it is, it's safe to come back, but if you feel like you want it to get, you want your home to be tested, I guess we'll test it, Like, that's one of the classic moves because it effectively filters a lot of people because you know what? A lot of people aren't going to hear that they can even have their homes tested in the first place.
Until you clean them thoroughly.
Oh, many of these are heavy gases, so they'll pool in basements. Cool.
There's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
Caggiano recommends anyone who's in the East Palestine area get a health checkup. He says get a record of where your health stands now so that moving forward you have documentation of any possibly related effects to the train derailment.
I mean, I would say not just don't just get your health checkup now if you're in East Palestine. I'd say if you're anywhere where you are seeing the gas, where you are seeing the smoke, where you are seeing the or have seen any of this, or have seen like mass animal die-offs, absolutely get yourself a health checkup. Absolutely get your water and air tested, okay? It's not just the town of East Jerusalem, or I keep saying East Jerusalem, East Palestine. It's everywhere around there for hundreds of miles. Hundreds of miles, chat. Oh, and additionally, remember, chat, how the city officials were like, well, look, your groundwater's been protected. It's all fine. You're drinking water. It's okay. Well, new little update about that one, okay? New little update.
East Palestine Police Department is warning that drinking water may be at risk for some people following last week's train derailment. Officials said that the Portable Well Task Group will be knocking on doors of the homes that they have identified as having that at-risk drinking water wells. The news comes just days after officials gave the all clear for residents to return to their homes following a fiery train derailment on February 3rd. The Ohio EPA is investigating impacts to water and possible remediation, collecting water samples from nearby water streams and Sulphur Run, where a dam was installed to prevent further contamination. East Palestine.
Cool stuff. Why? You know what? Excellent question, Robert Adsat. Why is the police department issuing water warnings instead of, I don't know, the Ohio EPA or anyone, in charge of testing the water? That's kind of weird and crazy. Also, just as an FYI, again, here, Darlington, Ohio, as we've seen before, is way down here. Okay? It's way down here. Darlington, Ohio is 140 miles away from East Palestine. But you know what's a lot closer than Darlington? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is right here. It's within 50 miles. It is incredibly possible, if not probable, that the drinking water for all of the towns and locations within this 50-mile radius is in danger. Ohio has an EPA. It's a Republican-run state. Yes. What's the prevailing wind? I believe it goes, well, you know, let's find out. Let's find out for sure instead of me, Okay. Oh, wouldn't you know? Wait. It looks like it would be blowing towards Pittsburgh. Weird. The general winds blow a lot of this towards Pittsburgh. Excellent. Fucking hell. It's real bad, folks. For people who need like a kind of a quick cheat sheet, okay? The 3 new chemicals that were identified today, ethylene, glycol, monobutyl ether, that's bad for the central nervous system, meaning it can fuck up your brain. Ethylhexyl acrylate can fuck up your gastrointestinal tract. And for the last one here, isobutylene, I believe, yes, also associated with higher levels of coma and death. So that's cool. Yeah, ethylene glycol is literally antifreeze. Yeah, it's not good. You know? If you're smelling something sweet in Ohio, get the fuck out. Okay? Jesus Christ. In case, by the way, here's some pictures that I believe were taken just today of it's the totally normal, ominous cloud of death hanging over Ohio, drifting towards Pittsburgh. Totally normal. Jesus Christ. Here's one from a different angle, a bit farther away. Yeah, it's not great. And again, if at all possible, if you're in Eastern Ohio or Western Pennsylvania, get the fuck out until like people have gone in and done testing. You need testing of your air, your water, and your ground, like soil. Okay, you need to test those 3 things to make sure you're not gonna die like 20 or 30 years early. Okay, I know I tell my little jokey jokes here. I'm being dead serious about that one, okay? You test your air, your water, and your ground soil. Get it done so that you can, like, not die. I'm begging you, please. Yeah, water is going to need ongoing testing because it moves more slowly through the ground. Excuse me. And yeah. By the way, I really need to reiterate this, okay? Really need to reiterate this, okay, folks? If you are smelling chemicals, you need to get the fuck out. If you're living in the valley, including Mahoning, Trumbull, in any of those counties, if you're smelling something like chlorine, bleach, nail polish remover, anything like that, get the fuck out. Like literally get the fuck out by any means possible, okay? Yeah, exactly. If you're smelling something you're already absorbing at unhealthy levels, meaning you need to get the fuck out because you're about to be toasted, okay? Yeah, by the way, there is 0% chance that any of the testing that has been done to date has been widespread enough for them to definitively say something like it's safe to return to your homes. It is absolutely not safe to return to your homes. If you are going to return to your homes in East Palestine or any of the surrounding areas, do so with like a gas mask so that you can get your stuff and then leave again, okay? How likely is it to head towards Dayton, Ohio? Not super likely. Dayton is kind of like it goes against like the prevailing winds. So it's less likely to make it to Dayton, Ohio, but not impossible for that to happen. But I would guess for the most part, Dayton, Ohio is going to be fine. The people who really need to be worried are the people of Pittsburgh. Yeah, also, here's the story on the chickens. North Lima woman finds chickens dead on Tuesday. Questions chemical release from train.
Mahoning County, who's not all that sure that the situation there is safe. First News reporter Nadine Grimling talked with her today. She joins us here with that story. Nadine.
Well, Stan, even though North Lima is about 10 miles away from East Palestine, Amanda Brashear says when she went to let her dog out last night at about 10 o'clock, the smell made her eyes water. And she also believes it could be why her chickens are now dead.
So I walked up to the cage and this is what I found.
Amanda Brashears was going to feed her 5 hens and rooster this morning when she discovered them all lifeless, practically in the same position, with no signs of a predator entering their enclosure.
I'm beyond upset and quite panicked because they may be just chickens, but they're family.
Brashear says her chickens were alive and well yesterday. She believes the smell following the detonation of the train carrying chemicals that derailed in East Palestine is to blame for her birds' sudden death.
My video camera footage shows my chickens were perfectly fine before they started this burn. And as soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. If it can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years.
Officials have said that the smell wasn't toxic or
literal canaries in the coal mine over here.
Dangerous, but still advised people in the Mahoning Valley to stay indoors Monday night as a precaution.
Well, it's not toxic or dangerous. It's just going to kill any of your small animals.
For them to say the air quality is okay, I'm calling BS. I'm going to be taking my birds to the vet to have them examined because if this is
Yo, you're standing right next to a tiny person right here? Don't take your birds to the vet. Get the fuck out of town.
This is the cause of their burn. They're being held responsible.
Well, sources say this isn't the only incident like this that they've heard of in the past day, but the Ohio Department of Agriculture says they haven't heard of any problems following that controlled release. Still, they say...
Look, Gamer G, I know hotels are expensive, but you know what else is expensive? Dying 30 years young, younger than you would have otherwise, okay? That's pretty fucking expensive, too. I get it. I get that, like, oh, it's expensive. I'm not, like, fucking around when I say, like, if you need to, fucking, like, pack a tent. Do whatever you gotta do, okay? Like, this isn't a joke. People are literally at risk of dying in, like, 10 years from this shit. Granted, people can't necessarily afford to get out of there, and that fucking sucks. But they gotta get out of there or they're gonna die. Yeah, geez. Well, you know, that's a good point, my rear end. If they've already been exposed to the poison, what could it do? What harm could it do to breathe in more fucking poison? Fivehead. Jesus.
If you have any concerns about your animals, to bring them to their veterinarian or...
Like, I've been going through this to prep for stream. Like, it's real fucking bad. Like, we're talking, like, comatose and dying bad. We're talking cancer on the skin and eyes and lungs and liver bad. We're talking, like, your animals are dying over the course of one night bad. We're talking every single family who left and heeded the emergency evacuation order and came back, like, found their pets, like, dead or dying. You know, like, God. 100% misHire. It's always the normal salt of the earth folks that suffer the most. Yeah, surely the U.S. healthcare system will help these people. Well, hopefully, you know, hopefully the Biden burn pit bill will help these people too, you know? Just expand it a little bit. See how it goes. Yeah, by the way, specifically for those of you checking which way the wind is blowing at the given moment over the last, like, week or two, it's blowing southeast, directly towards Pittsburgh. All this heading towards Pittsburgh, baby. You can even take a look at, like, the radar teams for it. Look at that. Going directly towards Pittsburgh. Cool stuff. Cool. Here's something interesting, folks. 4 days after the burn was instigated, we have this man who is driving to work in a car, obviously. He's about 70 plus miles southeast, again, in the direction of Pittsburgh. Newly washed car. Okay? Shiny. Super clean car. Drove through some rain. The rain appears to be full of some sort of shit that is melting parts of his car, it appears. So, you know, normal stuff going on in Ohio. Now, folks, you might be asking yourselves, how much of these chemicals actually made it into the environment, you know? In total, over 1 million pounds of vinyl chloride leaked, spilled, and was burned by this train. 1 million pounds into the water and soil and air. And additionally, it turns out that vinyl chloride, thankfully, breaks down when exposed to the air for a few days. So that's good, you know? That's good. But when it breaks down, it turns into hydrochloric acid and carbon dioxide and formaldehyde. Literally acid. Like, that's why it's starting to melt cars. You know, we did it. We brought acid rain back, baby. Make America great again. Biden's doing it, folks. That wasn't better. I know it wasn't better. I was being facetious. Also, I noticed that they covered this on the Majority Report. They had a caller call in from this area. This is a first-hand account of the Ohio train derailment disaster. So let's take a listen.
Sam, it's Ryan from Ohio.
Ryan from Ohio, what's on your mind?
I haven't called in a while, but, well, basically, I don't know, you guys haven't really, I haven't really seen a whole lot of coverage about this nationwide, but Friday night, a little after 9 o'clock, I heard a bunch of commotion outside, and I walked outside to what I could only describe as like a hellscape. A train in my town derailed, and they were hauling oil and chemicals, and there were flames like hundreds of feet high. I
at least headlined that. I had seen that, and there was like a mass evacuation. I mean, hundreds of people were evacuated because of my understanding.
Yeah, this crash was about 5 blocks from my house, actually.
Wow.
It was.
They evacuated people, but not people who are only 5 blocks away? The fuck?
It was scary. But basically, so they evacuated us the first night because they said they didn't know what chemicals were on the train. It ended up, Norfolk Southern, the train company, they claimed that it took them like 24 hours to reveal what was even on the train.
Right.
And, which, I mean, you know, in the age of computers, it'd probably take about 5 minutes to figure out what was on the train. So
it certainly shouldn't take 24 hours, because if you got something that's going to explode like that, you would probably want to alert everybody, you know, all the local authorities, right? Like, I mean,
you should probably have a nationalize the trains in order to know this information sooner.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
This is what
put up some of these pictures as you talk. We'll put up some of these pictures.
Okay. A lot of protesters, they call these bomb trains. They're basically these trains that they travel at high speeds through residential areas, carrying like all these noxious and explosive chemicals. And it ended up coming out. Well, there's been a lot of misinformation, I will say, and it's crazy to see it happen in real time and see like news outlets that I thought were reputable, like parroting things that they hear from these train companies.
Right, and these are next.
But
here, keep scrolling through those pictures. I mean, this is we're showing pictures right now, and this is from like this is some of these from the next day. But yeah, you can see this. It looks like a freaking bomb.
Yeah, it's well, basically, at first they said there was 3 tankers of vinyl chloride being shipped, but it turns out there was 5. It later came out there was 5, and basically, what they ended up doing is on Monday, they did what they called a controlled burn, where because they were afraid that the tankers were going to explode, because I guess vinyl chloride has a very, very low boiling point, and the temperature just kept rising within the tanker.
Ah, yes. You see, it's going to explode. Therefore, instead of cooling it off, we will just make it explode. A perfect solution to the problem of it exploding.
And so they drilled into it and lit it up with flares, and they created this like huge, like smoke and fire explosion into the sky. And I mean, you know, I want to go home.
Well, Robert Adset. Yeah, no, in small towns throughout the U.S., they get, frankly, to put it indelicately, they get paid off by large rail corporations to remove any of those restrictions that happen to get voted into place. So, yeah, no, the idea that, like, there'd be any regulations on that, of course there should be. But the rail company is incentivized to subvert any kind of democratic control or regulation put on it by its profit incentive, its profit motive.
But also, like, I don't know how long that stuff's going to be, you know, I mean, they're being very, very obtuse.
It is
about
extremely, I don't know much about it, but I know that it's extremely carcinogenic.
Yeah.
I mean,
and well, I know that what happens is there's a lot of hydrochloride that is formed when you burn vinyl chloride, and it latches onto like water molecules, and it can like literally create hydrochloric acid in the sky. So, I mean, because there was an inversion point in the weather that day, and so the chemicals only went about 3,000 feet up when they burned it all. And so, and you know, there's clouds, and I can only imagine that, you know, there had to have been some sort of like something raining down.
Do they know?
I'm pretty far out of town, but
do they know what caused it?
It was they said it was some sort of safety issue with the train, which, I mean, I can't help but feel.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. What caused it to crash? Well, you see, our company has determined that it was some sort of safety issue that caused it to crash. No shit.
Safety issue with the
really
train?
Ironic.
I mean, that's, yeah, it seems like there's a safety issue with the train. I would say that, like,
they're being, well, I mean, it wasn't like somebody else. It wasn't like somebody wrecked into the train or something. It's something,
right.
It was something wrong with the train itself.
Yeah.
And I find it really ironic that this is less than 2 months after Biden
without a doubt
prevented.
It's very hard to be aware of the fact of how hard the workers for these freight trains are worked, and not to have your first thought be, maybe there was an issue with the tracks, maybe there was something on the track, maybe something like that. But that, like, when you work people this hard, the idea that maybe, you know, after working, 14 days in a row or whatever it is, that somebody just, you know, made a user error.
And the, like, demand that they keep operating these things with less and less drivers.
Exactly.
And personnel.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard not to at least have that cross your mind.
I mean, it would be irresponsible not to have that be the main emphasis in question.
I mean, and it really is amazing how little sort of scrutiny there is about this. And I suspect part of the reason is because the administration doesn't want to remind people that they just basically, there's no two ways about it. I mean, regardless of what you feel about, you know, unions or not, there's no one who could possibly argue that less people operating this train is better than more people operating this train. You just can't. And
this company, over the past 3 years, has done over $8 billion in stock buybacks.
They spent $8 billion inflating their own stock instead of actively maintaining their fucking trains. Jesus Christ. I hadn't heard that part before. That is infuriating to a degree I did not know that I could reach.
So, I mean, they clearly can afford to pay workers.
They can afford to pay workers. They could probably also come up with a system that would let local authorities know within, and not just local authorities, but also like the local population. Hey, we can figure out what's on the train quicker than in 24 hours. You got this stuff that is highly carcinogenic, that has the ability, I think, if you inhale too much of these fumes, you die. That's pretty serious.
Maybe we know how many of the trains there are in the maybe 3, 5. Just ballpark it for close enough. Well, how are people like communicating in the community? Like, I know that the authorities are really tight-lipped about it. Like, what are people talking about?
Well, there's been a couple of videos circulating around that you really will not see, like the news talk about. There was one, I don't know if this one's true or not, but there is someone in a nearby town called New Waterford that the train had just passed through, has a video. They claim, looking at it, it seems to be what they're describing. The train was on fire for several miles before it ended up exploding in my town. It wasn't big flames, but it was small enough that and they said that the Norfolk Southern, they said that they had a reading on their safety equipment.
Oh yeah, no, Gamergy. There's security camera footage for it going at least 20 miles back that shows an axle was on fire on the train. If that train had been properly staffed and properly maintained, there is no way that should have gone on for, again, at least 15 minutes. The whole axle, that is what was conveyed to me in the reporting, yes.
Equipment just a little bit before the train derailed. But if it was on fire for several miles before that, then they probably have a safety.
This is from USA
they
Today.
Had a reading from that too.
USA Today officials warn the controlled burn would send phosgene. This is a controlled burn. Phosgene and hydrogen chloride into the air. Phosgene is highly toxic, colorless gas with strong odor that can cause vomiting and breathing trouble, and was used as a weapon in World War I.
Yep.
It's mustard gas, and they're actually going around and asking people for keys to their house because they're going in to test people's basements because it's a heavy gas, and they're afraid that people's basements are being turned into death traps. And there's another video going around of a stream downstream from the crash, bunch of dead fish. So clearly it's not, it might not be seeping into the groundwater, but something is seeping into the surface water.
Oh,
and I mean, I'll be honest, I cannot wait to sue these guys. I really can't. But at the same time, I mean, if I end up going home and getting cancer, what's money going to do me?
Right. I would not risk it. If
it's
you can
illegal.
avoid.
It's illegal to go home right now. So, which is a really surreal feeling to be told that it's illegal to go home.
Well, man. I mean, I'm glad you were able to get out of there. I wonder, if everyone in that area was able to. I would imagine more difficult.
Some people were refusing, unfortunately.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And and people should be aware, and of course they're not, and this is by design, that this stuff is crisscrossing the country. And I mean, that is on some level,
by the way, just as an FYI, of the 50 cars total that derailed from this train, 10 of them were carrying hazardous materials. So it's not just the five cars carrying vinyl chloride. There were 5 additional cars filled with toxic gases and toxic liquids. It's crazy. Crazy.
There is a failure of this is a failure of government agencies. It is a failure of Congress. It's a failure of the union representing these workers too, to like, not get this information out there. I don't know, how I can't assess the efforts that they've made or not. And maybe they've made the efforts and there just simply isn't the appetite for people to.
Oh yeah, we covered that earlier, Dark Star Mike. The 3 new ones cause like neurological problems, gastrointestinal problems, and I think the last one is significantly raise your risk of coma and death. So, like those 3 in addition to the vinyl chloride exposure.
To know that, like, sleep tight tonight. Incidentally, a bomb's going to go by your house at 70 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. And you should know that we have 45% less staff than we did 10 years ago operating that bomb. I mean, it's...
And then they've been doing these press conferences every day. And seeing one of those Norfolk Southern people get up there and have the gall to talk about how soon they'll have the railroad operational again is like, it's like, what about my house, you asshole? I can't go home. I don't care about your profits. I don't care about your railroad. I want to go home.
Is there mechanisms to like put people up, or are they just like,
well, that's another thing is that the railroad is fronting a lot of money for like people to stay out of town. However, you got to like bring your receipts in, like you're itemizing after a business trip.
Right.
It's.
Are they making? They're not making you sign anything.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't anyhow because
right.
And they're offering these. They're offering after everything's said and done. They're offering some sort of like recompensance package.
Do not accept that.
Or am I saying that word wrong? But recompense
right.
package, and basically. I'm telling everybody I know, don't accept that package, because if they, if you're on a class action lawsuit later, and they say like, oh, they already accepted our we're sorry package.
Right. Yep. That's
then
good
maybe
advice.
You might get screwed out of that.
That's good advice. I wouldn't take anything from them. I wouldn't take anything from them that involved signing anything without talking to a lawyer.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the thing I do have to take my receipts in for my hotel.
Well, you take your receipts in. You take your receipts in. I don't think you're in any way like, all you're doing is. I don't think that's an issue. But it'd be curious. I may ask around a little bit
and keep us posted too.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish there was some sort of place like link I could give you guys for donating, but it's so recent that there's really not a whole lot of things. A lot of the stuff that's going on for people helping out has been local. A lot of
email
local
us
businesses,
if there's something that comes
pizza
up.
Places.
2,
okay.
3.
All right. Appreciate the call. Hang in there, man. Glad you were able to get out of there quick. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye.
There was one of those bomb trains carrying heavy natural gas from the Bakken oil fields in North Dakota in like 2015 or 14. I remember I seen it in an airport, just giant explosion near Castleton. And it's like, well, try to do better next time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Yeah, Ohio residents, if you want a free Twitch subscription, don't take Norfolk Southern's money, just hang out and chat. We can hook you up, no strings attached. Yeah, the rail company is offering $25,000 to the whole town. Sorry we made you leave your homes. Here's $5 a piece. Literally, go fuck yourselves. 2,500? I saw 25,000. No, 25,000. That's not even go fuck yourself money. That's like a Starbucks money. Yeah. $25,000 to an Ohio town where it caused a life or death evacuation. And that is really a remarkable headquarter or headline for a story of this magnitude, you know? Jesus. It doesn't even cover dinner out. It doesn't. They spent $8 billion buying their own stock. They can't even deign to give like a town where they've probably shortened the lives collectively by like hundreds of years. Stolen just hundreds of years of life from these people. They give them $5 a piece. Go fuck yourselves. Yeah, no, even $25,000 per person wouldn't cover the necessary medical expenses that the kind of exposure they have undergone would incur, you know? But Jack, the trains have to run on time. Well, you know what? If we want to make the trains run on time, I suggest we pull a Mussolini, but instead of shooting the conductors, we start at the top. Okay? Like, there we go. We start at the top, work our way down. See how that goes. Those fuckers. Boy. Is shooting the conductor a good idea? No. It was a bad idea when Mussolini did it. It'd be a bad idea now. Oh yeah, Robber Adset. Keep in mind, not all of these people have private insurance. So, you know, like if they get cancer, they're just fucked for life. You know, that's kind of what happens in the United States. If you get cancer, you're just fucked. That's it. End of story. You're fucked. You have millions of dollars of medical expenses. Good luck.